I feel like if you know me, this was inevitable. Ooh, did I make this whole video just so I could dress up as Monty because I already owned these glasses from a different project? No. Why would you think that? Hey, it's Kismet, and I want to let any lore keepers out there know going into this video that I also watched Dako's 10th anniversary interview with the game creator, Scott Cawthon. And so I'm fully aware that like nothing of actual legitimacy can be pulled from Security Breach, and that probably goes for Ruin too. So this video is really just for fun for me to be able to take a deeper look into my favorite character in the FNAF series, the big, dumb, angry alligator. Ooh, and I just know these are gonna fuck up my makeup, so we're gonna stick them up here for a hot minute and hopefully not ruin the wig in the process. If you don't know what an iceberg is, it's a deep dive into a certain topic. Oftentimes at the top, it is things that everybody knows, and then once you get to the bottom, it is deep cut, secretive kind of information, which, don't hold your breath. So at the top of the iceberg, number 1, Monty's claws. Honestly, this is more of a complaint than anything else. Why give him special claws? The game says it's to help him play the bass better, but one, Bonnie, who Monty replaced as bassist in the group, doesn't have claws at all. And seemingly he got along just fine. Well, and number 2, why are the animatronics actually playing instruments at all? Shouldn't it just be like a backing track and then you have their animatronic thingies just like generally mimic playing an instrument? Why does he need to actually play the bass? Sure, give them more convincing movements of like knowing chords or something, but there is no need for any of these guys to play instruments. We'll partially clear this up later. Also, side note, have you ever noticed that all of the musicians in this 4-piece band all play guitar, or I guess in Roxy's version, keytar, but like all guitar variations? Maybe one of them should have been like a drummer. Who would your pick be? I'm obviously biased towards Monty, but I feel like Roxy could do pretty well too. Number 2, Gigamonty. In the release version of Security Breach, a streamer slash YouTuber, AstralSpiff, accidentally discovered how to create and duplicate a version of Monty that always knew where you were, ran at full speed at all times, and never lost aggro. He dubbed the monster Gigamonty. This Monty is actually the Spotlight Monty in the Atrium. It seems that in earlier unreleased versions, this Monty would give chase to the player if they accidentally ran into the spotlight that this version was operating. For some reason, the code for the feral version of this Monty was left in the release game, despite the spotlight being cut. So if you ever unloaded the Atrium, the Spotlight Monty would fall to the ground. He'd still be largely out of commission until the next time that you aggroed any bot, be it one of the other animatronics or one of the staff bots. Once aware of your position, he gives chase. If you want to see how to duplicate Gigamonty or the rest of the cast, or if you want to experience the birth of the big guy, I will link Spiff's video in the description. He's a funny guy, go subscribe. Number 3, Monty killed Bonnie. At this point, it's all but canon that Monty was the one who decommissioned Bonnie, or is it? Yeah, I mean, at this point, it kind of is. Or it's just a crazy fake out. Oh, I knew this would happen. I tried to take the glasses out. Please hold. Oh man, is that just a full reset on the wig? Oh, that sucks. That sucks. The evidence against the defendant is as follows. Monty is an angry, violent guy. Exhibit A. Number 2, with Bonnie gone, Monty would become the new bassist in the band. Monty has motive. Never mind that they could have just made another Bonnie shell and slapped it on any old endo. And my final piece of evidence, Bonnie has big ol' claw marks through his chest. Who has big ol' claws that are specifically mentioned in messages in the game? People will point to the fact that Monty didn't get his claws until after Bonnie's murder. But the whole rest of the cast have claws of some sort. Monty probably had some too. It's just he got an upgrade right before the events of the game. From a storytelling perspective too, why call attention to Monty's claws in the game? Have a goal for the player be to get Monty's claws and put them in Freddy, and then later put big ol' claw marks into Bonnie's shell if Monty is not the culprit. I rest my case. I can't tell if this is like annoying anime character to do or like cool rock star thing to do. It also kind of feels like your mom with reading glasses to do. Iceberg level number 4, you were originally supposed to get Monty's legs. Here's where IRL game development starts to make cracks for in-game theorizing. The problem with all of the arguing about Monty's claws being ridiculous, or using story beats to decipher who killed Bonnie, is this. In early development, you were going to get Monty's legs instead of his claws. It's no secret that the development of Security Breach was a mess. Not only do we now know that Scott was withholding information from the Steel Wool development team, but we also know that the project started out very ambitious. Scott describes it as ordering a cake that should be baked by Christmas, only to notice that the cake was getting way too big to bake in time. Scott says that the decision was to keep the cake big and push back the release date in order to not cut back on content, but me thinks it was a little a column A and a little a column B. So instead of legs, we got claws. Here's the evidence. When you defeat Monty, he gets split in two, his top half and his bottom half. And for the rest of the game, his main design feature is that he has no legs. Later in the game, legless Shattered Monty appears, still with claws. When you take his claws, you take them from his legs. In the game, Monty has quite the jump. It's showcased not only throughout gameplay, but also during his boss fight. Mans can leap tall buildings in a single bound. It's mentioned in messages that Monty is seen wandering around up in the catwalks, presumably having jumped there. The most damning piece of evidence yet, in my opinion, in an unused texture file, you can see a mixture of Monty's paint scheme and Freddy's. This file matches up with a rendering that we saw of Shattered Freddy, which we never see in the game but was used for a Halloween promotion. What this suggests is that while this full rendering is officially unused, there was at one point an idea that Freddy would have Monty's legs. So much so that it got all the way to a final texture rendering before being cut. The theory is also supported by the fact that the asset for Monty's legs are titled as if they are a material component for Shattered Freddy. Just as a side note here, I also feel that this shows us just how much was cut from the original idea of Security Breach. The Shattered Freddy image makes me think that at some point Freddy would not be our buddy, that instead he would get corrupted by all of the bits and bobs that we're installing into him. I also think that the dual map system that was used for the Ruin DLC is maybe a hint that at some point in Security Breach, once you upgraded Freddy to have Monty's legs, there would be areas in the catwalks that you would be able to jump up to and access almost like a second map. Maybe not like a full second map, but at least like parts. Iceberg number 5, Monty was teased all the way back in FNAF 3. Or maybe more apt to say that there was a kid with probably an alligator mask back in FNAF 3 in the minigames, and the Steel Wool developers saw that and were like, hey, an alligator would make a good character. I doubt this kid was put in FNAF 3 by Scott with the full understanding and intention that this would one day become the Monty we know now. But who knows, maybe this one little detail will unravel the FNAF timeline once again. Are we back? My camera overheated. I love Sony. I currently have a battery-powered hand fan taped to it, so here's hoping we can get through the rest of this video. Iceberg theory number 6, Cassie hates Monty. This entire theory comes from one Redditor, FNAFy It started with these Fizzy Faz machines in Ruin. Each character has a Fizzy Faz flavor and a corresponding vending machine that appears in the DLC. When you put the Vanny mask on entering the AR world, every character's vending machine stays the same, except for Monty's. Monty's vending machine turns into a Roxy vending machine. Personally, I very well do think this could be the devs just uploading the wrong asset and not noticing until it was too late. But I have to admit, it got me thinking. Cassie's favorite animatronic is without a doubt Roxy. She has the most built up relationship with her, and we see those cardboard cutouts of the two interacting. We know Cassie is at least warm towards Chica, given the genuine concern in her voice when she first sees the state that the chicken is in. And she seems to at least trust Freddy, given that she makes a beeline towards his ruined form before realizing the danger she's in. But Monty? She has very little to say about Monty. When she sees his ruined form, she expresses no concern for him. If anything, she sounds kind of disgusted. And we know she isn't swayed by a little rust or grime. Her motive for not liking Monty could be that he replaced Bonnie, a character that she seemed to be fond of. Even if she doesn't know that Monty had a hand or a claw in Bonnie's disappearance. Imagine having a character that you really, really like, and then for no apparent reason, they get replaced by someone completely different. I would at least have a distaste for the new guy. Our final level for today's Iceberg, number 7. Monty and Roxy's spirits are agony, not remnant. Remnant seems to have been left behind as a concept in more recent releases. It just hasn't really come up, and I think agony is really only a thing in the books. And I know most people hate when the books are brought up, but you really can't deny at this point that they are at least some sort of mirroring stories with the games. I do sympathize with how frustrating that is though. Some stories are clearly a retelling of or inspiration for game plot, but others are totally fringe. Details don't match up perfectly, but broad strokes are fairly similar, so it's kind of hard to know how much to trust. Regardless, for the sake of this argument, I'm talking about agony, which is a counterpart to, or byproduct of, or somehow related to remnant, aka soul power juice. Kill someone the right way, and you can infuse an object, oftentimes metal, with someone's soul, but kill them a different way and you get the dark and edgy and infinitely cooler version, agony, which from my understanding is literally just remnant but angry. Monty is so angry. He has no thoughts. He simply rages against the dying of the light. His actual personality is much less developed, which you could say is just because the devs didn't work on him very much, but he's just the angry one. Roxy also has quite the attitude, and it's attached to this raging insecurity complex. We've seen she can be nice, a fun character with the right people, but the other two, Chica and Freddy, are friendly as can be. Uh-oh, the fan just died. We're on a time limit now for temperature. I think Monty and Roxy were experiments of sorts, playing around with agony. Monty was a bit of a dud, but still safe enough to have around kids, apparently. Roxy was certainly an improvement. From there, Fazbear Entertainment could have perfected the use of agony or just abandoned it altogether. This is at the bottom of the iceberg because my sources, I made it the fuck up. Okay, one more theory that's been rattling around in my head ever since Security Breach was released, but before Ruin or Help Wanted. I wondered if their personalities were so out of control because Fazbear was trying to use a new form of technology, personality chips. Why would you let a raging gator continue to trash the Pizzaplex? Why not eject any code that made Roxy such a sore loser? I figured because they can't. What if the newer edition of Glitch Trap being uploaded memory and personality inspired someone at Fazbear Entertainment to make something similar? You could get such realistic reactions and good conversations with characters if you didn't have to program every single response. If they have fully fleshed personalities, they could boot up more or less ready to go. It's easier to program out what you don't want them to say or do compared to programming an entire complex persona. On a meta level, Scott Cawthon, the creator, has mentioned multiple times that he kind of prefers the sci-fi genre over supernatural. So I figured this would be a good way for him to keep leaning into that interest. But it seems we may be done with Glitch Trap, Burn Trap, or any other William Afton persona for the time being, as well as being back on the rails for the supernatural concept, which I am personally more in favor of. That's the end of my fun little Monty iceberg that I came up with. What did I miss? I feel like there is so little known about Monty to even theorize about. So I'd love to know if you've heard some theories or if you have some of your own related to the big, dumb swamp puppy. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good Halloween season. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. We made it with 6% battery life and the temperature all the way maxed out on this camera. It's a Halloween miracle! Oh God, I am wearing contacts for the first time in a long time, and I'm suddenly remembering why I stopped wearing colored contacts. Oh my God. Yeah, there's something in this contact that I just cannot shake, and it is killing me. My best friend is calling me. Bad time, Lamau. Sorry, Melissa. Oh my. Or using story bait. Her motive for not liking Monty? Again, I did it again. Oh, and this time it was worse.